body shop
using their spare labor.
Exactly.
I'm
assuming, that might make an ass out of you and me, but I'm pretty sure the Bay Area stats.
Well, what happens when you say I presume? Then you make a
presume instead of assume.
Yeah. Welcome to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host. Here's our format: a bunch of guys sitting around a bar. There's no bar. Having drinks. There's no drinks either. But we're talking business, and you, the audience, are listening in. The Best of Investing is actually a radio show that has been around since August 2010, and it airs every Saturday on Fox News Radio, 9:10 a.m. at 1 p.m. Now, we're not a political show. We're strictly business, so everyone will be happy with that. Remember, I'm Edward Brown, wishing you the best of investing. Are you ready? Let's go. Now, last year we had a fantastic guest on, Gigi Bibeault, who was here to help us with job recruiting, and it was so much fun we decided to have her back. And before I introduce her, I got to go through a couple of the fun interview resume type blunders that people did. You guys ready?
Yep.
Ready.
All right. This one guy put on, graduated on the top 66% of my class. Or here's another, finished 8th in a class of 10. Woohoo! Okay, married, 8 children, prefer frequent travel. I love that one. Okay, let's see what other ones here. Accomplishments, completed 11 years of high school. Boy, is that guy dumb? It only took me 6 years. And then I like this one too. Keep this resume on top of the stack. Use all others to heat your house. Right, the fireplace.
Clever.
Okay, just a couple more, then we'll introduce Gigi here. Okay, personal interests: donating blood, 14 gallons so far. And I hope not all at once. That wouldn't be good. Let's see here. Reason for leaving last job. They insisted that all the employees get to work by 8:45 a.m. every morning. I couldn't work under those conditions. And then here's the last one here. Okay, references: none. I've left a path of destruction behind me everywhere I've worked. All right, Gigi, what are we going to talk about today?
How not to write a resume.
How not to write a resume. Well, thank you for inviting me. It's always great to be with you guys. It's always a lot of fun. And I wanted to talk a little bit about people who are still searching for jobs in the new economy. I think that maybe a year and a half ago, people thought that it was going to be short-lived. And what we're finding is it's long-lived.
It's a long-lived one.
Yes, it is.
Okay, let's get right into the questions, because I know our listeners are going to be very interested to hear these questions.
Well, what do you think the most effective way for people to look for a job is in this economy?
Well, I've been through lots of economies. So in this economy, what I'm finding is there's a lot of people looking still. I think the unemployment numbers are falsely on the low side. And people who are marginally employed or have just taken something, or all the self-employed people whose businesses crashed, and the unemployment number is just a number of people receiving benefits, and a lot of people receive benefits that have run out, etc. So unemployment's higher than what they say.
Yeah.
And I think but businesses still need good people. So the question then becomes, how do you separate yourself out from the other hundreds of people applying for work?
Yeah, because a lot of people just think if I send out a certain amount of resumes a day, then I'm doing my job. But why don't you say something about that?
Well, it used to be that. I mean, you could set a goal that I'm just going to apply for 10 jobs every day. And that out of that, somebody's going to call me and I'm going to get an interview. And what I've found is that people are finding jobs in this new economy the way they did before the last economy, and that was by face-to-face, by connections, by talking to people, actually talking to actual real people, by going to coffee, by asking people for informational interviews. And the more people you get in front of, the better you're going to be.
Okay.
So
let me move on to the next one here, if I could, because we've got a whole list of great questions for you. Sorry. What if I took a job that is 50% of what I used to make? Should I keep looking for a better position?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I think that a lot of us, I'll say, are happy to be working.
Yeah.
And because of everything that's happened, our expenses are probably lower than they used to be. So we were able to take a job making half what we used to make and still almost being able to get the ends to
Especially
come together.
for cutting expenses.
Right.
Yeah, so, excuse me, Gigi, what's working in this new economy and what's no longer working for job seekers? What do you suggest they try that's different?
I think getting someone to look at your resume, I think the quality of your resume is more important than it's ever been. I think the way you present yourself in the email that goes out to that employer is more important than it's ever been, that you position yourself for success. You can't just be fluffy, you can't be cooler, you can't act cool and silly and think that you're going to get hired in this economy.
Yeah.
I think it's almost more of an inside job now than it used to be. It used to be you just do all these certain things and you can get a position. Today, I think that you really have to take care of yourself. You really have to beat back the gremlins of discouragement. I think you really have to monitor what's happening on the inside, because that's going to reflect how you present yourself by email or in person to someone.
Okay, well, that kind of moves me on to this one. Okay, what about ageism? What are the clues to employers about my age, i.e., like a job history going back to 1980, an AOL address, which I still have, because my kids tease me about being so old that, when I was in high school, history was only a 15-minute class because there wasn't too much history before I was born.
Well, one of the things that shows how old you are is that if you're over 30, I always say never put the age that you graduated from college, never put that you graduated in 1982 from college. I think that nobody cares. It doesn't even matter if you've been working for 40 years. Nobody cares what happened more than 20 years ago, so never put anything on your resume older than 1990. I think having an AOL address, present company accepted.
So thank you, yeah.
But I just think Yahoo, Hotmail, and AOL are not good addresses. All the young candidates all have Gmail.
Gmail, yeah.
And I think it's very easy, and you need to make sure that your email is not like too much wine at gmail.com. You want to, or partygirl at Yahoo.
Partygirl at Yahoo.
Path of destruction at Gmail, yes.
Yeah, that's right, just like that guy. Also, I guess for ageism, don't put inaugural class from Harvard, right?
Or from Exeter or whatever, absolutely.
What's the role of LinkedIn these days in one's job search?
I love LinkedIn, and I think if you're looking for work and you don't have LinkedIn, you need to get it right away. And you don't have to have the upgraded service. You can use it free, but you really need to work that to connect to people. Why? Because you can have 1,000 connections on LinkedIn and not find a job. And the reason is because people are overlinked and underconnected. A lot of people think I'm on LinkedIn, I have 1,000 links, and yet you're still unemployed. And that's because you've built yourself a tool that you haven't used. The only purpose of LinkedIn is to connect with people, to get in front of people. So I use LinkedIn in my business to say, I didn't realize you're the coach of my boys' team and you're the head tax guy at Genentech. Can you introduce me to the person in HR? Absolutely. So I didn't get business from the tax guy, but I can use the tax guy to get into the person who is hiring.
Does that mean you should just accept everyone's LinkedIn invitation?
I do.
Okay.
Unless they just look like a total goofball, then I
just trying to set a record. Okay.
And now you mentioned resumes, and everybody's sitting home working up their resumes. And what about using a professional to help do the resume?
Well, I do resumes as part of my service that I offer to candidates, and I specialize in people changing careers, because a lot of people used to be one thing and now they're something else. And it's a flat fee of $200. But the point is, don't be in charge of your resume. Let other people look at it. If you have a friend who's a hiring manager, let them look at it. If you have a friend who's great with words, don't be in charge of your own resume. And in particular, if you have somebody who's in HR or who hires, let them give you the straight scoop on what they think about it.
All right, we are going to cut to our first commercial break. And remember, it's Name That Cartoon Voice. We're going to have some fun with this one. Okay, so here's the first trivia question. Mike Myers does the voice, and Mike say, "Oh, donkey, can't we discuss this over a pint?" Which, by the way, since Gigi's here, and we're talking about the economy and resumes and all that, and it gets sometimes a little depressing. We have to kind of add some levity, so I figured cartoon voices would be good. All right, so Mike Myers does this voice and might say, "Oh, donkey, can't we discuss this over a pint?" All right, all together now, who said that? Shrek. All right. Okay, I must have done a good job on that one. All right. And Gigi, let's get right back into what you do, because you are you help people with resumes, executive recruiting, and such. Okay. Here, you call this the inside job. How do you keep from being completely beaten down in this economy? What do you want? How do you watch the news and just keep going from going back to bed? Which reminds me that I read the comics all the time, because that's about the only news that's not depressing.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, all I can say is if you're looking for work, it's very easy to be discouraged.
Oh yeah.
And to really, you sort of fold in on yourself. And so if you're looking for work, you need to really be mindful to take care of your thinking. Because if you're beaten down, if you feel depressed, you're not going to make a good impression on email or on voicemail or in person.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. Well, I can imagine, looking like Eeyore going in for an interview, going, you don't want to hire me, do you?
And it's really hard. And I just think that in other economies, if you had skills and education and a good job history, you could pretty much pick something up in a couple months. They used to say 1 month for every 10,000 that you make, so 80,000 would be 8 months.
Wow.
And for me, it's about 4 days.
But a lot of people who used to make 80 are now making 44 and feeling, bad about themselves. And going back to your earlier question, it's okay to keep looking for the 80K job. One of the truths that was true in the old economy and the new one is that people want to hire people who are working. Companies just love to steal somebody from a competitor. So I think if you have taken a job beneath what you used to do, then keep looking for what you used to do.
Yeah, but okay, if I'm the employer though, and I see that you used to make 80,000, and all I can afford to pay is 50,000, isn't there going to be a part of me that's going to go, "Dude, this person's not going to be with me for a long time"?
Yes, but if you can get an 80K worth of experience for 50K, then you're also, as a business owner, mindful that you're trying to get the most for the least.
Or just, or let them know maybe eventually they can make 80 again.
Right.
So Gigi, wouldn't this be a good time for someone who's unemployed to maybe practice some personal development? I know that a lot of people in this economy are taking the opportunity to maybe improve their skills or their leadership skills. There's an awful lot of really good gurus out there that are worth reading some of their material. What do you advise clients on that?
I tell people to just be careful that garbage in, garbage out. Watch what you watch what you listen to, watch what you read, and to really be careful that you want to read things that are positive and be around positive people. And there are so many personal development gurus out there. I love the book Think and Grow Rich. I still think it's a classic. It's a tiny little book. I think you can get it for $2.50 on Amazon. And it's a beautiful, beautiful book about the value of minding your thinking and going into mastermind groups, getting with other people who are also looking for work.
By the way, there's another website, half.com, which is an offshoot of eBay, and you can get books there really, really cheap.
Half.com.
Half.com. So when you're going into an interview and you say garbage in, garbage out, don't be wearing like a headset listening to rap music if you're going for the executive job. And dancing while you're going into the receptionist. I want to speak to the boss.
Well, a lot of times in the interviews, they'll ask you what's the last book you read. And I just think it's important. There's a lot of great books out there. There's a great book called A Year of Thank Yous about a guy who was an attorney, and his business was awful, and the business he did have, they weren't paying him, and it was just pitiful.
Wow.
And what he did was he committed to writing 365 thank you letters in a year, one per day, and it's his personal memoir of the transformation in his life just from doing that.
My last book was Harold and the Purple Crayon. That's still a classic. Or I guess the last book you don't want to say is How I Killed My Last Boss. Welcome. You're listening to the Best of Investing on News Talk 910, sponsored by Pacific Trade Exchange. You know our show. It's where we present valuable information about real estate, the financial markets, and other economic business of the day. For those of you listening for the first time, here's our format. A few guys sitting around a bar having drinks. Hey, did you guys bring the drinks? No drinks today. Talking with business with you, the audience listening in. I'm your host, Edward Brown, and I'm honored to have as my co-host Mark Hanf of Pacific Private Money, California's fastest growing private lender, and Robert Schiff who is the mortgage guru of RPM Mortgage. Our phone number is 888-912-1190. Write that number down, 888-912-1190, because you're going to use that number to answer the trivia questions for 3 vacations given away during each commercial break. That's right, we're giving away 9 vacations during this show. The vacations are sponsored by Lighthouse Resort and Marina, located 1 hour northeast of San Francisco. The vacations are free. Their only request is a $75 cleaning fee to cover housekeeping expenses. Such a deal. Their website is lighthouse4fund.com. You can reach them at 916-777-5511. And today's trivia theme is, guys, everyone's all pumped up, superheroes. All right. Our website is bestofinvesting.com. Check us out on Facebook and YouTube by typing Best of Investing Radio Show. And now you can start watching us on TV because we are on Comcast 26 at noon on Saturdays and 6 p.m. on Sundays. Quick reminder again, World Wraps in Corte Madera is still giving our listeners a free smoothie with purchase of a wrapper bowl. If you mention the Best of Investing, go there for lunch today. They have the best wraps in town. Don't forget to mention the Best of Investing for your free smoothie. And today's guest is Stephan Piscano, who specializes in real estate auctions. Stephan, welcome to the Best of Investing.
Hey guys, great to be with you.
All right.
Stephan, I understand you're about to launch a new website. What's it called and what's it all about?
Yes, sir. Well, you caught me on a pretty exciting day. For about the last year and a half, we've been developing a new website that's going to be called realbay.com. It's actually an online real estate marketplace and social network that allows users to add properties to the site with live bidding auctions, fixed price listings. It also has a fully functional social network as well that allows you to connect with real estate professionals on a global level.
Wow, so RealBay, is that like the eBay of real estate?
It is, and that's kind of the catchphrase we're going with here. It's the other catchphrase we're using is it's an online marketplace where you can market yourself to potential clients in addition to marketing your listings. What makes it a little bit unique is that it's actually a free marketplace where you can go on. A lot of the functionality is very similar to eBay in the fact that it has the live bidding. We also have our version of a buy it now, which we call an own it now or best offer listing. But it really allows buyers to communicate directly with list agents and research the property all online.
Who are you targeting as your market for this, your primary market?
Well, initially it's going to be pretty heavily targeted towards real estate professionals who are pretty savvy investors, but long term we'd like to be seen as the place for more everyday buyers to come and research property. I manage an investment fund as well as my day job, and I bought several thousand properties over the last few years. A lot of the research I do for my properties happens online on great websites like Realtor.com, Redfin.com, and some others. That I can basically research everything I need to know about a property without ever seeing it. But the problem I personally have with those websites is when it comes time for me to make a buying decision and I actually want to get in contact with the person who's the list agent or in some cases a for sale by owner, I still have to jump through a bunch of hoops to find that person's contact information. What I wanted to do with RealBay is I wanted to put all that same research information in front of the consumer, make it easy to understand, easy to grasp. I wanted to also allow them to make that buying decision and go directly to the seller with a hard offer that has some weight behind it.
So Stephan, if it's an auction and you're going to make an offer, is there a time frame like other websites on eBay that you can make?
You got 4 hours to do it or something?
Yeah, no, good question. Yeah, you can do several different lengths. You can choose as quickly as a one-day auction, where short of a term is a one-day auction. You can go as long as 60 days. And you can list it. It doesn't have to be a live bidding auction. That's going to be the most popular feature for some of our cheaper assets on the site initially. But if you want to do a fixed price listing, which a lot of realtors, that's going to be more beneficial to you because you might not have permission from your client to auction the property off at a reduced price. So So if you want to put it on a fixed price, you can actually post that listing for as long as 90 days.
And I bet you'll have to have all kinds of disclaimers because, you're not responsible for the properties.
Well, that's correct. Yeah, we want to be seen more as a marketing medium, similar to Craigslist, to where it's just an outlet to get exposure. Since we're not charging any insertion fees to the list agents or to the for sale by owners, and we're not charging any buyer's fees or premiums on the back end, we're really not involved in the transaction after the fact. We're just a marketing medium to allow you to get exposure for the property. So there are disclaimers that you should research the properties on your own, do your due diligence prior to placing a bid.
So how do you make money then?
Well, our system is set up to where we really want it to be free to our user base. We're the only website that will have that model. There's a few other websites that do charge insertion fees for live bidding auctions. There's 3 main ones that all charge an insertion fee and actually a buyer's premium on the back end. Because we're not charging those big fees to our user base, our model is set up to generate targeted advertising revenue for our partners. So it's set up like this. I bought and sold a few hundred properties since 2008 online. Most of the properties that I sold online I sold through eBay. And what I found is about at least 90% of the properties that I sold online, the person who purchased the property was out of state or in some cases out of country from the property that they purchased. And they would always ask me pretty much the same questions. They would ask me, do I have a contractor I would recommend to do the repairs? Do I have a escrow company I would recommend where they can get title insurance on the deed? Do I have somebody I can recommend as a property manager to collect rent if it was an investment property, which typically it would be?
I mean, I got to imagine that these properties have to be a little bit on the lower end.
Well, I mean, it's really a pretty nice mixture, actually, of what we're going to have on the site. We're going to have a couple thousand properties on the site the day we go live. The properties that sell best online are going to be cheaper assets. I mean, the properties that I sold predominantly were going to be, believe it or not, about $4,000 or $5,000 in that Detroit, Michigan, Ohio type of area. And actually, what I'm going to do, and I haven't even mentioned this to you guys yet, but what I'd like to do for your listeners, just as a special thank you, and as a, we're excited to be on the program with you here, I'm going to have a Detroit house on the website when this airs that we're going to auction off with a starting bid of $1. And that's just going to be a one-day auction, so it should sell for obviously pretty cheap. But if you go to realbay.com right now, you should see a $1 house on the homepage.
And so for our listeners, they get 50% off of that, right?
Yeah, I'll put it at 50 cents. I'll mail it to you in a bit.
Stephan, do you plan to have bank-owned properties? Have you made relationships with any banks or other sources for REO property?
We do have some connections there. I've been involved in some of the bulk REO stuff over the last couple of years here, and a lot of the inventory that you're going to see on the site initially is from my asset manager contacts. We're hoping to see a steady flow of asset manager related REO traffic.
Yeah, and I don't think,
especially as the site grows. One thing that's kind of neat from a buyer standpoint, just since we're a brand new site, initially there's going to be a ton of inventory on the site, and you're not going to have a lot of competition from a buying standpoint. So just common sense tells us if there's a property that's on the site and you've got 10,000 people bidding on it, or at least having the opportunity to bid on it, it's going to sell for a dramatically higher price than if you've got 500 people having the opportunity to bid on it. So if you're a buyer interested in really cheap investment properties, it would be a good time to flood to the site and check out what we've got on there right now. And yeah, a lot of that will.
Stephan, let me ask you a question. If I would presume that you're not going to be putting realtors out of business. Would it be a situation where someone owns a house and has been unsuccessful? Been on the market for 6 months, doesn't even get a bite, and then moves it over to your site?
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of that, but I really want to stress that this is not something that's going to compete with realtors. We designed this to help realtors not only market, like I said, I don't want to overkill here, but market their listings, but also market themselves. And the way that we do that is on each of the listings, the actual auction page itself, that realtor can link to their website. So each auction page is going to have that realtor's phone number right there on the page. It's going to have a link to their website if they want. In addition to that, with the social network functionality, which allows for connections, recommendations, unlimited messaging between the user base, you can actually upload a video testimonial of yourself if you like as well. It really creates an environment similar to LinkedIn that allows you to really get that exposure not only for the listings that you put on the site, but actually for your business. And we want to drive traffic to the realtors' websites as well, because we see them as our partners in this.
All right, Stephan Piscano, we have him on the line. We're going to cut the commercial break when we come back. Stephan, we've got a few more questions for you. He is the president of
Real Bay.
Real Bay, there you go.
RealBay.com.
Specializing in real estate auctions. So here we go. We're going to cut to our first commercial break, and here's the first trivia question. Again, the theme is superheroes. Batman is his alias. What name does he go by when he's not dressed as Batman? The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouse4fund.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. Batman is his alias. What name does he go by when he's not dressed like Batman? And it's not Robin, I'll tell you. That's a hint. 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name, your address, your email address, and speak slowly and spell out your email address for us, and we will be right back. Excellent. Okay, that was segment number 1.
Segment 1. One down.
11. Good job, Stephan.
Can we see the sexy legs?
Oh yeah, sexy legs there. Here we go. I got a sticker on this. What's the sticker say? I can't read it.
It says, "Hi Kramer, have any suntan lotion? This leg is too white."
Yeah, Stephan, what I do is I always put a little funny sticker on my leg because we're recording this for television.
Go back on, is this starting out in certain locations or is it going to be available nationwide?
Mr. Kramer! Mr. Kramer, are you ready?
Ready, kitty?
Ready, kitty. Okay, here we go. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hanf of Pacific Private Money and Robert Schiff of RPM Mortgage. And on the line we have Stephan Piscano, who specializes in real estate auctions. And before we go back to Stephan, we've got to answer the trivia question.
And it was such a hard
It was a hard one. Okay, Batman is his alias. What name does he go by when he's not dressed like Batman?
Bruce Wayne.
Bruce
of
Wayne,
course.
that is correct. Congratulations. All right. And Stephan, you had started to talk about a special deal that you were going to give our listeners after the show, starting after 2 p.m. when we air. So what could you get into that a little more?
Yeah, and it's basically what we've done is we've taken one of these Detroit properties that I purchased, Detroit, Michigan. I frequently, and actually part of how I got into online real estate was buying in bulk these Detroit properties for typically around $1,000 a piece, believe it or not. And I would then sell those properties in online auctions on eBay for usually around $4,000 or $5,000 fairly quickly. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put one of the properties that I personally own up on the site. This is just, obviously anyone can bid, but we're putting this up there for your user base. We're going to start the auction at 2 p.m. today, and it's going to run for 24 hours. And the bidding is going to start at $1. And you'll see that it's referenced on the home page there. So if you want an opportunity to buy a house, it's obviously, I want to make it clear, it's not anything fancy. It's not the Taj Mahal, but it's a dollar house.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you
That's amazing.
Let's say someone, let's say it gets bid up to $100 as an example. I mean,
what a ripoff.
Yeah. Well, what realistically, what's the risk? Because obviously people are doing this quote sight unseen because they haven't kicked the bricks.
Sure, well,
kick the bricks, they might fall over.
I want to point out that's what our website is designed, is to allow people to get that feel that you're not, even though you are buying it sight unseen technically, we want to allow you to research a property as much as you possibly can through the website. So in addition to obviously the basics, square footage, beds, baths, photos.
Make sure there's no nuclear waste plant on it.
What's that, I'm sorry?
Make sure there's no nuclear waste plant on it.
Yeah, well, in some of these Detroit houses there might be. We give you the opportunity to link to other verification sites where you can check the tax records, verify ownership. You can upload a YouTube video that plays right there on the auction page. So we really give you as much information as you can. Obviously, you're still not physically seeing it with your own eyes, but as somebody that's bought and sold several hundred properties sight unseen, I can tell you that our website, in my opinion, will be by far the best.
Well, just call your friends in Detroit and say, quick, run over to the house, tell me what it looks like. But, I'll be really curious if you would get back to us sometime in the next, few hours or the next day. Let me know how many of our listeners called and bid on this thing. I'd really appreciate that. And how, again, would people bid on it? They go on a special website, right?
Yeah, they just go to realbay.com, sign up, create your free account, and then you'll see it right there on the home page, and it's going to say $1 Best of Investing House will be the title, and then you'll be able to click view all the information on the property. To answer your question on risk, I'm not sure what risk they could have. It's worst case scenario, in my opinion, if you're buying a house for under $100, you could always turn around and sell it. The house's realistic value is probably around $2,500 to $3,000, so it's not like you're getting.
Yeah, but what are the taxes on a dollar house?
But,
right?
Oh, there's some upside there.
Yeah, what are the taxes on a dollar house? Like 3 cents?
Well, on most of those Detroit properties, the tax assessments didn't go down as much as they should have. The tax assessments are typically going to be around $400 to $800 a year.
Well, even if you buy the house, they don't have like a Prop 13 when you
No,
buy
not
it.
in,
No,
only
no.
California has
Only
that.
pro-
So,
yeah.
Stephan, a lot of the houses that you've bought and sold, do they end up being owned by people that live in them, or is it rented out?
It depends. I mean, we do some.
Is it sold to
minor
movies
prices
for
in California,
demolition
Nevada
derby?
as well, but for the real cheap stuff, it's nearly 100% of the time bought from people from other states, and we exclusively did a lot in Detroit, Michigan. And believe it or not, the most common places where those properties in Michigan were purchased were people living in California and Australia. Those were the top two.
Wow.
And they would typically be bought as investment properties. Obviously, when you're buying a house for under $2,500, there's a ton of upside there, and your risk is what you spent, $2,500. I mean, you'll spend more flying out to look at the property than you did buying the property sometimes. So it's pretty astonishing.
Well, I'll tell you, if this place is like really cool and I end up buying it, we're going to move the studio there.
I don't think you'd want to do that. I don't think you'd last too long.
Hey, Stephan, so do you intend that this, both on the selling side and the buying side, to be not limited to real estate professionals, but to anyone?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and that's a common, when I define the site, even for friends and family members, when I've been telling them and describing it, and that's the common misconception is people will say, oh, well, I know someone who's a realtor, I'll tell them about the site, they should join, but they don't think to join themselves. But I want to stress that every person has a reason to be on the site. If you're a homeowner who's not actively investing in real estate, this is a great site for you because of our Real Bay pre-approved service providers, it gives you a great opportunity to research contractors in your local area, escrow companies if you ever need one, a variety of real estate related service providers that could be helpful to any homeowner, similar to an Angie's List for real estate. If you're not currently a homeowner but you'd like to become one, it's a great opportunity to research the market in general. We've got a lot of how-to videos on buying homes for a retail investor or more in-depth investing videos. And then obviously if you're a more savvy real estate professional, either as an investor or as a realtor, it's a great place for you for the reasons we've already outlined.
Well, Stephan, I got to ask you, because if this is one of the houses that you purchased, I'm guessing you purchased it for a little more than $1, so you're going to take a loss on this one, huh?
I did, yeah, and I just kind of, the hope obviously is that, we want to thank our members for joining us early on. We want to drive traffic to the site. We want to create some excitement. So I'm going to do a few of these. I've got still about 40 of these real cheap houses. My cost on these is about $1,000 a piece, typically, give or take, a few hundred.
Well, I hope Donald Trump's not listening because he may outbid me on this one.
He might. He's paying gold, though, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm probably going to take a loss of anywhere from $800 to $1,000.
So, Stephan, you said that you can go to the website and check out contractors or title companies. Are you starting out in certain geographic locations only, or?
Well, the website will be advertised on a global level to buyers. The real estate inventory will be on a national level, so where we'll have properties from all around the country right out of the gate. Our service providers, we're going to have to build that base up as we go. So initially, we're only going to be having service providers in various locations, just based off of who we've done business with. We actually since we're in California here and we do a lot of business in California, Nevada, a lot of our initial service providers are going to be in those regions. But as the site grows, we will have service providers in all 50 states, so that every time you purchase a property through the site, when you get that email notification that says that you've won that property, you're the winning bidder, along with that email, you're also going to get a notification that says, these are the Real Bay pre-approved vendors targeted to that specific location of the property.
Oh, that's cool. And are there other websites that, there are other online auction websites, but I think you said that they charge a fee, right?
Yeah, and nobody does what we do. Nobody has the combination of live bidding auctions and a fully functional social network. That social network is the key because, there's there's websites that are there's three of them. There's auction.com that I'm aware of, there's Bid for Assets, and there's Realty Bid. They all charge an insertion fee, typically around a couple $100, and they all charge some type of a percentage after the fact, anywhere from 1 to as much as 10% that can be paid by the buyer or the seller.
That's a little higher than a real estate commission.
Yeah, well, Realty Bid does it as a commission. I believe they charge 1 or 2%. Don't quote me on that, but it's around there. Bid for Assets charges a 10% premium. We initially were thinking about having a cheaper insertion fee, but we just decided, you know what, that's too confusing. Let's just make it free. Everybody understands free. And then the key is for us, since we're not charging any fee after the fact, we don't cut off communication between the buyer and the seller the way the other websites do. We want you to communicate because we don't care what happens after the fact as far as taking money out of your pocket. We just want both sides to be happy and have a positive experience.
And so the whole idea is strictly for the advertising. I guess sort of like how Facebook didn't charge anything, right? And then just hopefully get advertising.
Google's the same way.
Yeah.
That's right, and it's funny you mentioned those two because when we were thinking about the model, we looked at the most valuable websites like Google, Facebook, LinkedIn to a certain extent, and we said, you know what, none of these are really charging their member base anything, and we want to be that website for real estate that does the same thing, where we don't have to, rip off our member base. We can give them a free interactive user experience and still have a successful website based off of the traffic.
Well, Stephan, thank you so much for calling in. I know you're a busy guy for real estate auctions on Real Bay. We're listening to Stephan Piscano, and we're going to cut to our second commercial break. And here is the trivia question. Again, the theme is superheroes. Spider-Man is his alias. What is his name when he's in street clothes? The first three callers with the correct answer win the free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Again, their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. Spider-Man is his alias. What is his name when he's in street clothes? Call 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name and your address and your email address, and make sure that you spell that email address slowly and spell it out for us. And we'll be right back. Great.
Spider Lady.
Spider Lady. That's not
you
the
know that
answer.
one too.
Toby McGuire. Thank you so much for joining us.
You know that one too.
Yeah,
huh,
please
Mark?
get back to us and let us know how many people bid, okay?
Yeah, I definitely will.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Stephan.
You guys ready?
Yep.
Such a ham, I tell you. All right, here we go. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Honth and Robert Schitt. Thank you very much, Stephan Piscano, for joining us. And again, remember, listeners, go to realbay.com after the show and bid on that house. Starts at $1. You got to love that. When we cut to the second commercial break, we asked this trivia question. Again, the theme is superheroes. Spider-Man is his alias. What is his name when he is in street clothes? Anyone?
Well, you didn't say it was the new Spider-Man or the old Spider-Man.
I don't think it matters.
Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire, but that is not correct. That he was the actor.
Peter Parker.
Peter Parker, that is correct. Very good. All right, we are going to get right into email time here. And Mark, we have an email for you. A listener says, hey, Mark, what? Well, he doesn't really say, hey, Mark, I'm adding that part. But he says, Mark, what makes you different than other private lenders?
Aha. Oh, I love that one. My company, for new listeners, is Pacific Private Money. We're based in Marin County. We do real estate loans to real estate investors, and those loans are funded by private individuals. Hence, it's called private money lending, and our company is Pacific Private Money. Well, the good news is whether you're a borrower client or a lender client of Pacific, I think the fact that my background is real estate investment and development, not banking or conventional mortgage loan origination like many out there who are now doing private money loans, because conventional lending isn't what it used to be. The demand isn't quite there anymore. I think the fact that we have both me and my staff, we're all real estate investors by trade. We understand the real estate investor. So if you're a borrower coming to us, we speak your language. If you're an investor, we're pretty good at sniffing out who are the phonies out there. So again, we get a lot of applications every day, and our preference is to work with experienced real estate professionals. So if you've got experience, you've been flipping homes, you've got equity of your own, or maybe you've got an equity partner and you're looking to leverage that because maybe you want to make sure your equity partner gets a better, higher rate of return, and you use leverage to do that, we really love to work with people like that. In fact, we have a lot of repeat clients who are out there buying, fixing, and flipping property, and so our investors really like those loans because they're not long-term. We write those loans for 12 months, and oftentimes they're paid off in 6, and meanwhile, our investors are getting yields anywhere from 8 to 10%. And back to the borrowers, we're just really fast at analyzing a deal, and most of our existing investors are pretty savvy and can fund a loan in as few as 5 business days from start to finish. So I think we're really good at what we do, and we're very dependable. We've as far as I know, never left a borrower at the altar who expected our loan to close and we didn't close. We've just got to
Yeah, as long as you've given a commitment letter,
Yeah.
then you funded it.
Yeah, absolutely,
That's
absolutely.
important.
So that's and not that there aren't other good private money lenders out there in the Bay Area. There absolutely are, but there's actually a difference. I mean, private lending or what used to be called hard money lending has been around for many years, and there are companies that have been out there for 10, 15, 20 years. But companies like ours, we started our company post recession. So in other words, we had the subprime meltdown and all that stuff happened in 2007, 2008. We started our company in 2008. So we've been lending on these new values, these new adjusted values, whereas companies that have been around for longer, a lot of them have non-performing loans on their portfolio. They've got maybe angry investors. Many of those companies aren't even lending, or if they are lending, it's just not their primary business anymore because they're taking care of investors that are stuck in loans that are underwater. So, the new guys like us, we're just pretty excited about this industry. We come in as a result of the banks leaving the market for real estate investors and providing a service and capital that's needed, which really I think is contributing greatly to the Bay Area economy. So if you're an investor with Pacific, you are contributing to the economy because we are putting that money out to work. There's a multiplier effect when you lend money to individuals who repair property and put it back on the market, either as rental property or to.
Well, that'll just help their own property that much more.
Absolutely.
It kind of feeds upon itself.
Yeah,
and
it does.
Remind our listeners how to get a hold of you, because I'm sure some of them want to get 8 to 10%.
If you're an investor and you'd like to know how to put some of your money to work, maybe your IRA money or other savings, you want to go to our investment website, and that's at pacificprivateinvestments.com. Investments is plural, and again, it's all one word, pacificprivateinvestments.com. If you're a borrower or a real estate investor and you want to learn how to maybe use leverage, private leverage to grow your real estate portfolio, go to our borrower website, and that's at pacificprivatemoney.com.
All right. Thank you so much, Mark. You can always go to bestofinvesting.com and check on Mark there. And Robert, we received an email for you. The Fed announced a few weeks ago that they were going to keep interest rates low until 2014. Do you think they will keep to that strategy with some signs that the economy may be improving? I mean, just look at the stock market. It's over $13,000.
The stock market is going high, and traditionally when the stock market gets higher, it means that funds have come out of the Treasury bond market, and when the funds get out of the Treasury and go into the stock market, traditionally the rates go higher. And that did happen the last couple of weeks. Interest rates crept upward. Will that continue, or what's going to happen in the future? Well, it's an election year, so everything becomes political, and especially the amount of the economy that has to do with housing is very critical to what happens. So
But now did the Fed...
the Fed has done quantitative easing several times over the last few years, which meant that they've pumped significant amount of money into the mortgage lending pool to allow the rates to go down so that people could borrow more in the hopes that it would spark the housing market, which would spark the general economy. Will they do that in the future? What we're seeing is there probably won't be more quantitative easing. But when they make a statement that over the next, not short term, but for until 2014, well after the election, well after the next administration is in place and functioning for several years. That shows us their aim at having a stability in the market, and they want people to rely on the fact that interest rates, although they fluctuate in a range, will probably be in a very narrow range for the more than the near future, probably for at least a year and a half, so that people should expect there to be real stability in the rates. Now, every day they can move up and down a little bit, but I think that, and everybody tends to think that they'll be in a very narrow range over the next
But they're not
couple of
going to,
years.
you don't anticipate them changing, let's say, the discount rate. And they
There's-
said that they're going to,
There is not a lot to go there. I mean,
well, I mean, to increase it, right?
I
mean,
don't
if the
think,
market-
no, I don't think so. And as the economy starts to heat up, there will be some pressure to raise interest rates, but I don't think it'll be very fast, and I think it'll be a gradual increase over the next year or two.
Now, Robert, even if the Fed does keep the prime rate steady, let's say through 2014, that doesn't necessarily mean that mortgage rates might not go up. What are some of the factors that affect mortgage rates?
The mortgage rates, unlike credit cards and other auto loans, really aren't affected by the prime rate as much as they're affected by the 10-year bond rate. And so that you can pretty much track where the 10-year bond rate is going and where interest rates on mortgages are going.
Does that tend to get affected by what? Is that global issues in nature, or is it more domestic, or what tends to make that move?
One of the big factors is where money is going. Is money going into the stock market? And so when we see the stock market, the high levels they are right now, that's an indication that money has come out of sitting on the side in money markets or bonds and gone back into securities and into the stock market.
And that has upward pressure on 10 years.
Certainly, when there's less money in there, then it's going to cost more to borrow.
Yeah,
But
also
even so, the stock market is the highest it's been for years. The interest rates are still historically incredibly low, and the move that they made in the last month or so is maybe a quarter of a percentage point.
Well, you get probably average Joe investor who's been sitting with 0.01% interest and sees the stock market go from 10,000 to 11,000, says I want to ride this gravy train back up again, and that's probably what's pushing a lot of money back into the stock market.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right, guys, thank you very much. We're going to go to our third and final commercial break, and again, the theme is superheroes. Here's our final trivia question. Superman is his alias. What is his name when he is in street clothes and glasses? The first three callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-912-1190. Mark, I see you writing stuff down there. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. Superman is his alias. What is his name when he is in street clothes and glasses? Make sure to include your name, address, email address, and make sure that when you give your email address, you speak slowly and spell out each letter for us, please. And we will be right back. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hanf and Robert Schiff. And when we cut to the third commercial break, we asked this trivia question. Superman is his alias. What is his name when he is in street clothes and glasses? Anyone?
Brad Pitt?
Brad Pitt?
When he was in drag, it was Lois Lane.
Come on, people, hurry
Let's
up.
see, Clark Barr.
Clark
Kent.
Clark Kent.
Yes.
That is correct. Clark Kent. Okay. Hey guys. Okay. What is the word on the street?
Well, it's the word on the street. Yeah, what's the word on the
Just in
street?
general, what's the word on the street?
Well, it's almost the end of the first quarter, and what I've found is that I just know that I'm hearing anecdotally, everybody I talk to, there's just a lot of confidence that we're kind of out of the woods with respect to the recession. In other words, when I say out of the woods, it's like at the very beginning of the year we were talking about whether or not we still were maybe heading in for a double dip recession. We just had like the worst fourth quarter in 2011 was horrible for real estate sales, and so a lot of us were trying to predict where was 2012 going to be a repeat of 2011, or are we really going to see signs of economic recovery?
Or did we actually go through a quick little double dip?
Well, we could have.
I think there might be truth in that.
Yeah,
yes.
we might have dipped in and then we came back out.
But I think you're right, Mark. You certainly hear less talk about, less fear about us going back down into another recession, and it seems that everybody is, not that they think we're totally out of this and everything is great and the unemployment rate will go down to 5%, but there's no, the sense that we had as early as the last quarter or a couple quarters before, where there was a lot of fear of going back down further into recession, is not there at all. And a lot of indications and articles I've seen also say that we seem to be building a really firm base slowly towards a growing economy. At the same time, the whole mortgage default problem that happened, there's still a lot of deleveraging that has to go on globally, especially not just in our country, but there's a way to build a base and sort of slowly deleverage ourselves to a eventual really healthy economy.
Well, the panic sure seems to have disappeared, and you're right, the indicators seem to be heading in a positive direction. I'll be curious to see what consumer confidence, how that comes out in the coming weeks, because I think that at least if the anecdotal information that I get from talking to people every day is any indication, I would think that number ought to be heading in the right direction. Now, certainly, of course, I wonder, are we living in a little bit of a bubble here in the Bay Area, because we've got other driving factors that are leading to a stronger economy in the Bay Area, including all of the internet success we're having. We're soon going to have the Facebook effect happening here in a couple of months with that IPO. We've just got a ton of money here in the Bay Area, but I wonder how if that same feeling of confidence is being felt in other parts of the country.
From the things I'm reading, it seems to be. Now, RPM just recently moved its office from one place in Mill Valley to another, and one of the benefits, all the agents in the office are saying there's a fortune teller down the street, so we can go check out what's going to happen with the interest rates there.
All right, guys. Hey, I'm going to change subject here for just to add a little levity here. Top 10 signs of cell phone addiction. Ready? Here's number 10. I mean, we may not be able to get through all these, but you've spent more on accessories than on your phone. That sounds kind of true in some cases,
there's
right?
there's
Well,
a
I mean,
things you can get.
applications and
Yeah, exactly. Okay, here's
Doodads.
doodad. Here's number 9. You have 30 different apps installed, and you use all of them.
Oh.
That's kind of scary. But
I know, I
that's-
don't.
I don't know about me. Okay, you have alarms telling you when to do everything in your life. When to eat, when to wake up. I've used it a few times, but not every time. Okay. You read about your phone on your phone. Sometimes I've had to do that, but okay. You've cut back on necessities to afford your $100 a month cell phone bill. I don't even know anyone who pays that little, but
Gosh.
okay. Actually, maybe we'll get through these. Okay, a full battery charge barely lasts the day. That part's true. In fact, I have to keep mine plugged in the whole time. My extension cord, 100 feet isn't long enough anymore, especially driving around in the car.
yeah, eventually they'll have surgical implants that'll take care of that.
Oh, that's kind of scary. You're probably right. Okay, you broke it, and it feels like you lost a friend. Yeah, that's true. We got to definitely keep that. Okay, when you meet people with the same phone, you can only talk about the phone. Sounds like Valley Girl, you know. Okay, here's number 2. You feel a brief moment of panic when you touch your pocket or grope to the bottom of your purse, and it's gone. And that,
Oh, yeah.
I can relate to that one.
Yes.
And then number 1, you use it in the bathroom. Yeah, that's me,
That
all
is
right.
sad. That is so sad but true.
My wife keeps saying, "Get off that phone! Get out of the bathroom."
The manual dexterity it takes to do that as a guy, to be talking on the phone and, well.
No. Come on, we got to keep this clean here.
I tell you though, with respect to those, the reminders and the dings and all that, I turned all mine off. All those, it's crazy how it added for my own personal stress, to my work day to have, my phone ding every time an email came in or every time a text message comes in, and your computer dings, and I've turned all my notifications off. You just gotta pick up your phone and look at it every now and again, make sure you didn't miss a call. But
Well, I had my old phone had a ring where if my wife called, it started off, Edward Brown, pick up the phone. Edward, pick up the phone. Edward, will you get the phone? I sometimes would be in a meeting and I couldn't get it fast enough. People go, "Who was that?"
Well, you're right about it, because Robert, you said there was we're gonna have implants to take care of that. That's kind of where we're heading. I mean, it's just I think it's only a matter of time.
Very scary,
The sci-fi will come true. There were all those science fiction
Listen,
novels I used to read about implanted computer chips in your brain.
Well, you know what? The Bible predicted that, though. It
did?
Yeah, it even said
The implants?
Well, very similar. It said you'll have a chip. It'll basically,
really?
they talk about the quote, the mark of the beast, and it'll either be in your right hand or your forehead. And if you think about it with identity theft, for someone, let's say, who doesn't believe all that, stuff, it's very easy for someone to say, sure, go ahead and put something in my hand, right? Because no one's going to steal my hand. It's easy to steal credit cards, lose a wallet,
Right.
and you go, look how convenient it would be to just scan your hand across something. But don't do it, people. Don't do it, I'm telling you. It's just a sign of the next things to come. All right. Any last thoughts before we get into thoughts for the day?
Well, we got Easter coming up, and it's spring, and I'm just looking forward to the warm weather again. Even though we're in California and we got nothing to complain about. It doesn't snow here during the day like it does our friends in Detroit, but I just miss the warm weather.
And I'm looking forward to the baseball season.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
baseball.
got to get back into baseball. In fact, and next week, just off on a side, next week's guest is Joel Yanovitz, who is he has consulted with big companies, and he's going to help our listeners with consulting with small companies. So it'll be very, very interesting.
For the serial entrepreneur out there or wannabe entrepreneur,
Exactly.
you need to tune in and learn about starting your own
So
business.
that's part of it there. Okay, thoughts for the day. Once I applied for a job, and they told me I was overqualified. So I told them that I'd goof off half the time. Yeah, I still don't understand why I didn't get that job. Okay, and one time I was having a relationship problem with my wife, and so I went to the doctor, and he said, you know what the cure is? He goes, run 5 miles a day and call him in a month. So 30 days later, he asked how things were, and I said, how do I know? I'm 150 miles away from home. Okay, that's a little bad. All right, people, tune in next week to the Best of Investing and hear what Joel has to say, giving us advice for our listeners.
And don't forget to check out realbay.com
Absolutely.
after the show and bid on that $1 Detroit house, people.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see how much that really gets bid up to.
Yeah.
Maybe even $5.
Realbay.com.
Yeah, you might get bid up to $100 or
Yeah.
even $500. I mean, where else can you own a house? Even just for the thought of, hey, people, I bought a house in Detroit for $100 or something, and hopefully there's no liability.
The question is,
right?
will you want to visit it?
Yeah, exactly. Who knows where it's gonna be.
Virtually.
Virtually, yeah. Thank God for Google Maps.
Yeah,
Google Street View.
that really helps. I bet that really does help a lot. Okay, audience, tune in next week to the Best of Investing, and also remember to check us out on YouTube and Facebook, Best of Investing Radio Show, and you can also go to the website dar.fm and record this show. And we are on television, channel 26. We're in Comcast, and it's going to be 6 p.m. on Sunday, but it's going to be noon on Saturdays.
And bestofinvesting.com to check out past shows with some of our great previous guests
Yep. Excellent advice.
on podcast.
All right, tune in next week to the Best of Investing. We're going to be giving away 9 more free vacations for answering trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm Edward Brown, wishing you the best of investing. So long.